computer. Yeah, see if you can get on now. Mary Harris is in. Hey, Mary Harris. Hey, Edwin. Don't know why we got kicked off, but I'm glad we're back on.
Yay.
Hey, Mary Harris.
Yay. Hey, everybody.
I saw you walking your dog the other day downtown.
You did? Why didn't you stop?
Because I was in a restaurant eating dinner. I just saw you through the window.
God, well, that's so cool. What restaurant?
We went to Otto Izakaya.
Where is that?
Corner of O'Neill and Main Street down in the West End.
Wow. Wow. That's so cool. I have to look for that.
Okay, now what do I need to do now? Something has happened.
That's the best sound in the world to hear.
It is the best sound.
It's good to see you all.
Too.
Hey, Susie.
Hi, Mary Harris. How are you?
I'm so glad you're here to see your
Thank you.
wonderful face.
You too. Hi, Joni.
Hey, Susie, how are you?
Nice to see you.
It's so good to see you.
It's Patty.
Get my name back up there. Hey, Mike.
What's up, everybody?
Mike.
Hello, Mike.
Good to see you. Willie, Susie. Hey,
Hello.
so my virtual background, the only one to have us for the outreach program. What do you think? Keep it up?
It was great.
It looks wonderful. And you're perfect, Mike, as always.
All right, Edwin, we're folding the SBIRT operation under the outreach program today.
Cool.
And Edwin is actually located in the emergency room right now, so his background is very natural for him.
That is really cool.
Mm.
We'll wait until 12 noon to get started in case we have anyone else joining us. Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm Joni Thomas, and I am hosting this for Lisa Mincy. Lisa did a fabulous job planning a special event for us today so that we could hear more about the SBIRT team. Lisa is not feeling well today, so she will not be able to join us, and just hope she feels better soon. I would like to thank you for coming on here to hear about a very amazing program that Favor has launched. And on here today, you are going to hear from Mike Malone, our acting CEO, and from Edwin Lathan. And congratulations, Edwin Lathan. Edwin has just been promoted to supervisor of the SBIRT team. So we're so proud of the work that you're doing and so happy for you as well. So now I'd like to turn it over to Mike Malone.
Thank you, Joni. Really happy to see everybody here today. Thank you for coming and spending a little time with us to learn more about Favor and see about all the cool stuff we're getting to do, in all of our departments and across the upstate. Good to see everybody on here. And Ernie, I haven't seen you in forever. What a delightful service, man. Happy to have you. Anyway, Edwin, as Joni mentioned, Edwin did just get promoted to SBIRT supervisor. He's done such a good job and been so valuable to us. He earned himself a promotion. And I'm going to let Edwin really get into the beat of the presentation, but just so y'all understand, in general, SBIRT is one of our hospital teams. It's actually an acronym that stands for screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. And our team actually works in the ER over at Memorial, and they engage patients who have been admitted and flagged with substance use disorder. They try to get them into recovery or refer them to treatment in any way that they can. It's a really cool operation that we've been doing for a couple of years now. And in essence, it fulfills our mission of ensuring that everybody across the upstate has a fighting chance, right? No matter where they are, no matter where they're at in their process, we want to reach as many people as possible. Gonna turn it over to Edwin though, like I said, and afterwards, Edwin and I'll wrap up or kind of fill in some of the holes in his little talk, and we'll field a few questions and comments too from y'all if you're interested in talking more through it. But without further ado, SBIRT Supervisor All-Star Edwin Lathan.
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for your time. I'm so excited and honored to be able to tell you a little bit about the SBIRT program here at Greenville Memorial. We started this program back in April of 2019 and have been on site since August of 2019. As Mike said, SBIRT is screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment. And what that means is every patient coming through the emergency department is getting screened for a substance use disorder, whether they know it or not. It is a series of questions about alcohol use and substance use that's built into the triage. What I was telling Mike last week, what was the nurses are the S part and we are the BIRT, meaning that we are providing the brief intervention and referral to treatment. Just some quick numbers. Our present engagement rate is at 83%. And what that means is 83% of patients that are coming through the emergency department and screening positive for SBIRT are receiving some sort of a conversation from a coach about their substance use. The other percentage, I would imagine, are either declining or not medically stable enough to have a conversation about recovery. Since we started in August of 2019, we provided brief intervention to roughly 3,000 patients, which works out to be roughly 50 patients per week split between the 4 coaches that we have on this team. The outcome of each conversation can be very widely varied, ranging from a referral to treatment, harm reduction, or a simple humanistic conversation. Referral to treatments, what they look like for us on the SBIRT team would be a referral to a medication-assisted treatment, such as the Boxon Clinic, or a halfway house, or inpatient treatment, such as Morris Village, or another 30, 60, 90-day program. Harm reduction can look like talking to somebody about reducing their use or where they can get cleaning supplies, or distributing Narcan kits in the emergency department, which the peer coaches do hand directly to the patients and give them education on how to use. And then finally, the simple humanistic conversation is probably one of the best parts of the job. This is when we talk to the patients who may not be ready to engage in recovery services, and we really just try to meet them where they are and talk to them about what's going on in their life and how you can just make their day just a little bit better. Get them a Gatorade, give them a turkey sandwich, a warm blanket, something to comfort them, and let them know that we're here for them. And when they're ready to make any changes, we are going to be there to support them. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was how closely we work with the doctors, nurses, and social workers, additionally hospital administrators now with that promotion. I've loved watching the relationship with our doctors evolve over time since we started the program. When we started, I would say we were getting some pushback from some of the providers wanting to know who are these people coming into the emergency room? Why are they asking us all these questions about the substance use patients? And what is just their general deal? But what I can say is over time, we've really come to grow our relationship with the doctors, and more often than not, we have the providers seeking us out to answer questions about a specific case. And what that could look like is I'm here in my office in the emergency room, or a little closet that's been turned into an office. and they'll come in and say, hey, we just had a patient come in. This is the situation. Would you like to come and talk to them? Absolutely, I would. And I just think that's so cool that we have medical providers with professional degrees coming to ask us questions and for our input on cases. I think it really speaks to the strengths of the SBIRT team. And the nurses and social workers, that has been also an additional challenge that we have overcome, being able to work directly with all the different medical providers. So I did want to go ahead and give you 2 case examples of success stories that we've had since we started. One is going to be an advocacy case, and that's the first one. We will refer to them as patient X for confidentiality. And patient X was a patient, or is a patient, that has alcohol use disorder. He was coming in very frequently, sometimes multiple times daily. When he started coming, he was very oppositional to recovery. And this is one of the patients we were having those simple meet you where you're at conversations, Gatorade, turkey sandwich, warm blanket. He has worked with all 4 of our team members numerous times. It has been a group effort. Eventually, through lots of motivational interviewing and brief interventions, patient X decided that he wanted to go to treatment. So the SBIRT team as a whole was able to advocate for this patient to allow him to remain in the emergency department for an overnight, which is really hard to do, to get a patient to stay in a bed overnight in the emergency department. The provider allowed him to go take a shower, and we got him clean clothes from the patient liaison. And our fearless coach, Greg, put him in his car and drove him to Columbia for treatment. This was really a group effort, and we really had to pull in favors and ask the doctors for stuff that we normally don't get. But the outcome is so great. He has not been to the emergency department in over 2 months, which is really cutting down on that recidivism rate. And the last time that he did come to the emergency department, he came in for a pre-employment drug screening. And that just really speaks to the transition from where he started and where he came, and how we work together as an SBIRT team. And I love cases like that. And it's so important to focus on the positives, because it's not always positive. And that's what makes this job worth it. So I'll go ahead and move on to patient number 2. We're not going to call it a letter. We're going to call it a number. And this is a very simple success story. This is a patient very much like the first one that came in with an alcohol use disorder. Wasn't really coming as frequently as the first patient, but was frequent enough to be on our radar. Eventually, he wanted to go to treatment, and so we assisted him with filling out different applications for state-funded and faith-based programs. And if y'all don't know anything about the
Edwin,
resources,
hold on 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but whoever's unmuted, or Joni, could you help with this? If you're unmuted, could you mute yourself from background noise? So it's getting kind of hard to hear some of Edwin's. Okay, thank you. Joni, you've got the power to mute people that aren't muted too. Just basic Zoom stuff. Thank you. All right.
Very briefly, if you don't know anything about the state-funded or faith-based programs here that we have in South Carolina, the beds are very limited. So the patient was aware that he may fill out 3 or 4 weeks to get in, maybe even 90 days. This patient filled out all the applications while he was in the emergency department, went home, started calling every place every day, and was able to get in somewhere within 6 days, which is a miracle, and is still engaging in treatment and in that treatment center. What's also additionally interesting to mention is that the coaches were working directly with this patient's family and making phone calls and coordinating care with them to make sure that the whole family unit is being treated, or at least being offered services. And on the off chance that we do have visitors here in the emergency department, a family member, a friend, always is nice to either speak to them in the room or pull them out and have a one-on-one conversation, because the story that the patient gives and the story that the family gives is often very different. I think that's all the time that I was allotted, and I definitely want to give y'all plenty of time for questions and answers. So thank you so much for listening to my very brief overview of the SBIRT program. I'm honored to be the new supervisor, and I really do love coming to work every day and working with these patients.
Edwin, good job, man. Really appreciate you. And I did want to sort of piggyback on Edwin's SBIRT presentation. A couple things. One, it's a four-person team. We're actually hiring. We're in the process of hiring one more full-time person because Britt actually resigned and moved on. But the other two team members are Mary Catherine Sosby and Huckins, and they've done a fantastic job too. They have a great camaraderie, all three of them. And Edwin's doing a great job working with me on finding the new staff members. Another thing about SBIRT, you know, a big part of Favor's mission, not only to ensure that everybody has at finding recovery across the upstate, but, you know, we want to change the world. That's one of our small ambitions. And having peer support in healthcare settings like this, in hospital settings, really is changing the world for the reasons Edwin mentioned in the advocacy respect. I mean, nurses and doctors are actually consulting with us little peers in recovery about, you know, how to treat patients. That's a really cool thing, y'all. And there's less of that language in the hospital amongst the nurses, the social workers, the doctors, of those drunks or those junkies, or here's another one of those addicts, you know, just taking up a hospital bed. I mean, patient care has gone up across the board. That's a value add that's almost intangible. But there are value adds that are very tangible too. I mean, Edwin mentioned it. We're cutting down on recidivism and repeat visits. That doesn't just benefit the healthcare system. That benefits the whole community, right? That benefits insurance companies. That benefits your own personal life in respect to those situations. So that's a really big changing the world deal. And also, I want to make sure y'all understand our partnership with MUSC and with Prisma that allows us to have this SBIRT program is only in place because of the reputation we built over the years doing the peer support services through, you know, our center. And we wouldn't be able to do that without the support from the donors and the people in the community that really believe in Favor and have been with us all these years. So thank you for that, because that's afforded us the reputation, the opportunity to have an SBIRT team in the first place. So really cool changing the world stuff that y'all are a part of too. Anyways, that's enough out of me to back up what Edwin was saying. We do want to give y'all some time to, you know, express some comments or ask questions. That being the case, feel free to fire me, Edwin or myself. Does anybody want to share?
I have a question, which, first of all, I want to say thank you so much. This was, you know, I work here and I learned a lot today. And I love what Mike said about recidivism and repeat customers. That goes beyond, it really, truly helps the community. Edwin, you mentioned the number 3,000. And is that just at Memorial or is it overall with all the other hospitals?
That is strictly in the emergency department at Greenville Memorial. So, wow. And that's the patients that we've actually interacted with. The patients that came in that we did not interact with comes in at about 3,600. So that's that difference of the engagement rate, that little difference between the 83%. But that's only at Memorial since we've been here in August of 2019.
Amazing. Thank you.
That is amazing, Edwin. You said 83% of the patients your team is able to engage with.
Yes, 83 of the patients that screened positive for SBIRT, which means that the nurse asked them their questions and it flagged us in their patient chart. We are having some sort of conversation with.
That's amazing. To me, that shows the respect that the hospital staff has for you all and the work that you're doing with the patients for them to continue. It's just amazing what y'all are doing.
Yeah, it really is. And just watch the progression of all the different relationships from when we started to where we are now is just incredible.
That is.
Hey, Edwin, how about this? Maybe help us better understand too the partnerships we have with people we refer to. You know, a big part of the SBIRT program is the referral part. And we work closely with other agencies and other treatment centers, other providers, not just within the hospital system, to help ensure these people have a fighting chance at recovery, right? What are talk us through some of those partnerships, some of the referral agencies we work with.
Okay, so we have two professional relationships that are written in our contract. One is with the Phoenix Center outpatient, and one is with the internal medicine clinic, which has a addiction recovery clinic built into it, and that's a Prisma entity. And what they do for us is they hold appointment slots for us called a fast track. And when a patient comes in with an opiate use disorder and is interested in medication assisted treatment, such as Suboxone or Vivitrol or one of those medications, we are able to get them a dose in the emergency room and then get them back home and to their appointment the next morning. So patients aren't having to wait weeks to get in for this medication. They can get in same or next day. And so that's with the Phoenix Center as well as Prisma Recovery Clinic, which is within the hospital system. Our informal referrals would be with our local halfway houses and transitional houses. And that is one thing that I do think is important about whoever is going to be in this role, is being able to maintain relationships with local halfway house and transitional house owners and managers, because we need to be able to know who we can call at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night and is going to take a patient that's homeless but is ready for recovery. And that's not always easy. That's not always easy to do, but something about having a personal relationship with the managers and owners makes a difference, because when they see the SBIRT phone pop up at our number that they have saved, they tend to answer and say, what's the situation? Okay, I have a bed for them, send them on over. And that really cuts down on patients being discharged back to the streets, which can be frustrating for somebody in early recovery or somebody who's seeking help to be discharged with no resources and they came in seeking help.
Yeah, and that's a really awesome addition to the whole just healthcare experience for these patients that I don't want us to overlook, because one of the challenges Prisma faces amongst other hospitals is that they've got to discharge these people that really don't need to be at the hospital much longer because they don't have acute healthcare issues, right? But they do have other issues, mental health, substance use disorder. And instead of just being discharged to the streets, our team's able to help them kind of navigate the system better, do social work that a lot of times the social workers are burdened to, walk out. So finding somebody sober living that otherwise wouldn't have found sober living that's in the ER for addiction issues is, that's a game changer. It's really cool stuff. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions they'd like to ask that's, been listening?
Yeah, Mike, this is Ernie. I didn't get a chance to unmute a while ago, but it is awful good to see you as well. It's been a long time. I was sitting here thinking, and everything I'm hearing is just phenomenal. It's great. And sitting here thinking about, how VR could help with this process. We do operate our own treatment center down here in Florence. I'm actually here today at our treatment center in Florence. We're, as you know, we're not an immediate need, type of facility because there is a process coming to us. But I was also thinking too about, how we could help with these folks once either they even come into our facility here or even returning home back to the community, because, we do a lot with employment. That's who we are. And I was just wondering how could we tie into this and be of some kind of assistance with this, because I think what you all are doing is just, you're hitting it out of the park.
Well, Ernie, I appreciate you asking that question. And in case some of y'all don't really understand the complete context, Ernie's down, you're at the Palmetto Center, I imagine, right?
I'm here today. I'm actually with our state office in Columbia. but I'm also in Anderson as well.
So Ernie works for Voc Rehab. Voc Rehab used to have 2 inpatient treatment centers in the state. Homeview's still not rebuilt, right?
No,
But the Palmetto Center is one of them. And if you go through Voc Rehab and you have substance use disorder, you can get admitted to, the Palmetto Center free of charge. They also work with a lot of the same people we do to help them find jobs and, rebuild their lives. So I do think, for one, we can strengthen our communication, our partnership between the SBIRT program and Voc Rehab. And also, when y'all have people being discharged from the Palmetto Center or that have found a job, engaging them in the community-based recovery support that we offer, right?
absolutely.
So it goes both ways. Because look, we are the recovery experts. Like a lot of other people, the hospital does hospital stuff. We're not in there replacing them. We're just offering this recovery option to people that have other issues. And same thing with Voc Rehab. Voc Rehab does the Voc Rehab thing. Y'all help people find jobs. We send people to Voc Rehab that need them, but we help them rebuild their lives in recovery. And really, it doesn't work out long-term unless they have that recovery piece. That's kind of the most critical part. It doesn't mean a whole lot to get a job if you don't stay in recovery.
Absolutely.
Ernie,
So
I
what
appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that. I've thought about some sort of a relationship with Voc Rehab before. I love sending people to the Greenville office to talk to them about getting into the Palmetto Center. I actually started my journey in the recovery field in working at the Palmetto Center as an aide. So I know how good of a program it is. I'd love to have a one-off conversation with you at some point about that.
We could do that. Just I could somehow get you my information. And
Thank you.
we would obviously, I'd love to sit down and have a conversation. May even possibly get the gentleman in the Greenville office who would probably be the counselor that these folks would be referred to. James
Yes.
Normant. Mike knows James. So he's a good dude and has a passion for working with folks with substance use disorder.
Well, Ernie, I'll email
you.
you to Edwin and we can kind of take it from there.
Do what?
I'll introduce you to Edwin. We can take it from there.
That would be great.
We're strengthening partnerships right in front of y'all.
Yep.
Love it.
Mike plus teams plus strengthened partnerships. One more thing I wanted, since we have a few more minutes still, I really wanted to highlight the relationship that the SBIRT team has with these patients that's so unique. I was in the hospital recently following Mary Catherine around, and I'm telling you, there's just something about the immediate connection. It's almost an unspoken connection they have with the SBIRT team because of who they are and their non-threatening, non-sort of hierarchical relationship that they open up to these people. Like they don't, if Lee was a patient in the ER, she's not going to open up to Dr. Malone like she's going to open up to Eddie Lathan coming in. I'm telling you, it's really cool to see. And they'll open up about stuff that doesn't even have to do with addiction. They'll open up about childhood traumas. Not that we're therapists, but I'm just saying there's this opportunity that arises because, peers are in the ER that otherwise wouldn't arise in respect to these people's wellness. And it's just a really awesome thing. And I hope that we continue to support this, not just through favor, but really across the upstate and nationally. This kind of thing needs to happen more. I don't know, Edwin, do you want to acknowledge how often you see that or what that looks like to you?
Yeah, the shared experience of being in recovery is very important for this role. When we come into a patient's room, like you said, we're non-threatening, we're non-clinical in a very clinical setting, and patients are able to, I'm able to utilize my recovery story sometimes to get a patient to open up a little bit more and give me that information that they wouldn't normally give a doctor. And sometimes even, battle scars that we have shared like on our arms or bodies. It's just that recovery experience, that substance use experience, that if somebody hasn't been through it, they just don't understand. And we are able to relate to the patients in that kind of way. So I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, it's really cool that they'll tell me stuff that they won't tell the doctors. I can usually get the full story.
And we can refer people to help for that kind of stuff too in ways that may not have been addressed. Also, don't forget, we oftentimes engage the families too through this whole process. And least of all, they'll get referred to, favorite family group or favorite family recovery coaching. A lot of times they'll get engaged with a family or coach right away who can help find treatment for their loved one or just ongoing support for what they're going through. Because y'all know, for every person that's suffering from this, there's 4 or 5 people that love them that are suffering too. So the SBIRT team has a really cool way of engaging families that otherwise wasn't happening. All right, we're running out of time. Any burning desires out there?
Thank you. I thought this was amazing.
Well, of course you did, Mary Harris. You promote favor everywhere you go.
No, I learned a
Everybody
lot.
else does. They do.
Well, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. And we will be reaching out to you. I hope you will take our phone call. We would just like to hear your feedback and see what you thought of today's event. And also, if there is anyone listening today that is interested in being an ambassador for Favor and hosting a Hope and Healing Hour, we just would love for you to take that opportunity and help spread the word in the upstate of South Carolina about Favor and how we are rebuilding lives, empowering families, and changing the world. Thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. And
Thank
thank you
you.
for all your hard work, man. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
Thank
did
you,
a great
Mike.
job.
And Edwin, that you shared some amazing information. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. I hope it was helpful for everybody to hear a little bit about what it's like.
Well, and to hear
On
the
site.
statistics that you gave, it just shows what a difference you all are making, and you're there available to the patients that come in, and you're doing unbelievable work. Thank you.
I was
Yeah,
amazed.
and those numbers, the weekly and total, were actually from through May of 21. We have not gotten our last data report for June and July yet. So the numbers would be even greater than that from the summer.
Gosh. Well, keep up the
'Cause
great work.
we have been busy this summer. It has
Yeah.
been nonstop.
Well, it sounds like it, and I'm so glad you all are there to help meet the needs of those coming in.
Yes, me too.
I'm excited to share this. This is going to be really cool.
That's right,
Do-
because it was recorded.
It was. Would you like for me to download it, Mary Harris?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that now and get it over.
Will you send it to me too?
Yes, I will.
I'm on, if you want to pick out the number, like you have access to number, or I'll try to put it on YouTube too. Does
Yeah,
that make
it should send me it'll send Lisa since she's the host, but I'll tell her to please let us have that as soon as she gets the email about it.
And then I'll try to put it into YouTube because that's just a click.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you
When y'all
so
get it
much.
all settled, will you send me the link?
Yeah, I'll, so yeah, once Joni downloads it and sends it to me, I can turn it into a YouTube.
Wonderful.
Into a YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh,
did you like my phrasing?
Yes.
All right.
Y'all
Y'all
see-
enjoy the rest of your
I like
Wednesday. I'll
Borat.
see y'all soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
you.
Oh, Mike. That was good.
That was
Really
wonderful.
good.
It is amazing. It's amazing what's happening in the emergency
I'm
room.
just so impressed. Hey, Carolyn, I'm glad you are on here. I'll send you, once we get it, I'll send you the final copy. I'm glad you're here.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.